Okay, so we're having a lot of villain movies. That's the trend that we're going for. Okay, this is fine. Hi everyone, welcome to Flytte Kartina, which is my YouTube channel. My name is Zadie, and I do movie talks, basically. I just talk about movies. I talk about movies I've never seen before. I talk about movies that are well loved and movie concepts that have been across the board great or not great. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you're new here, welcome. But let's get started with this movie review that I have for you guys, which is kind of a little bit spicy, not gonna lie. Think about every bad thing about capitalism, and that's basically what this movie embodies. Today we're going to be talking about a movie that just released on Netflix called I Care a Lot, starring Rosamund Pike and Peter Dinklage. And this movie is very interesting, not gonna lie. By the way, this is a non-spoiler review, just to hit that right off the bat, but let's get started. This is about a court-appointed legal guardian and how she defrauds her older clients and traps them under her care. But her latest mark comes with an unexpected baggage. So I've noticed a pattern. I tend to not know about anything that happens in a movie before I go and see it. And so I didn't know anything about this movie except that Rosamund Pike and Peter Dinklage were both in it. So that was a fun experience to have. Let's talk about some positive things first. Some positive aspects about this movie before I go into the negative. And trust me, I have opinions on both. If you like what you're hearing so far, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Okay, so the positive aspects about this. I think that Peter Dinklage is finally playing a role that doesn't have to do with his size. Not finally, but you know what I mean. Like, he's had other roles, but he's mainly known for being an actor who is also a dwarf. I don't know what the really correct term is, but he's just born with a height difference, a very major height difference. So that first, right out of the gate, I think that Peter Dinklage's performance is actually very, very cool. I really like his character and how his character was portrayed by him, and it really didn't have anything to do with the fact that it was Peter Dinklage, and Peter Dinklage is known for being a shorter man. He played this role fantastically. He has that very sinister look about him, very much of a mob boss sort of thing, which is who he played. I really like that about Peter Dinklage and his character. Rosamund Pike, I think, did a good job. I don't know if her performance was outstanding, but I did think that she was a very good fit for the role and that she played it very well. The premise, though, the premise of this movie is actually something that I do want to talk about. It's very interesting and difficult concept to pull off because it deals with some heavy-hitting subjects, and a lot of people don't like to hit those kinds of things that people might not be wanting to talk about, but the creators decided to go with it. This was directed and written by Jay Blakeson, who hasn't done a whole lot in mainstream Hollywood, but I think that this movie was actually a very interesting concept for him to endeavor on and to pull off. And some of the artistic direction of some of the angles, mostly on this one scene. There's this one scene where Rosamund Pike's character and a lawyer are in the same room together. And I think the cinematography of it, the lighting and the coloring and the direction of angles was really cool to see, and very, you got into that argument and you could feel everything that the characters were feeling and understanding whose side you were meant to be on. The last scene has some very striking color choices, especially with the costuming. It's essentially wrapping the villain in this mask of white and purity, which represents everything good and honest in the world, but in fact the villain is not. I also think it was pretty interesting how Jay Blakeson decided to make both of the characters a villain. And I'm not saying like villain like they're inherently evil all the time, but just saying there was a lot of things that didn't really make me root for either Peter Dinklage's character or Rosamund Pike's. They're both evil people, and I think that was probably one of the points that it was that Jay Blakeson was supposed to make. So those are the positive things. I really liked some of the scenes and how they were shot. I really enjoyed Peter Dinklage's performance especially, and I liked the concept and what they were trying to pull off. Now let's move on to the negatives. And I have a little bit more negatives than positives about this movie. The first negative that I have is that it moves very slowly. I think the most exciting scene is the one that I just talked about with the lawyer and Rosamund Pike's character in the same room. The pacing is incredible, the dialogue is quippy, and I really just think that everything in that scene was so well done. But the rest of the movie is somewhat slow. It begins and it comes out a little bit faster, and that kind of sets the pace for the rest of the movie, and then nothing, not nothing, but just it's slower. It slows down as Rosamund Pike's character is discovering new things or whatever. I just wanted to get to the point where the end was coming. So I think the second portion of the movie was a little bit slow for me. Some of the things could have been taken out and maybe sped up a little bit in terms of pacing or just scenes that didn't need to be there. Another negative aspect about this movie is that, like I said before, both Rosamund Pike's character and Peter Dinklage's character, they're both villains. They're both antagonists. They're not heroes, they're anti-heroes. They don't do anything for the greater good, they just do it for their own good, for their own accomplishments and their own success, which I feel like is a jab at the American dream and what American capitalism is. And so if that was their point, then they made it across. Not everyone in the world is a villain though, so I feel like I wasn't rooting for either of them. I was just rooting for someone to just reconcile or something like that. That's the thing, I wasn't rooting for either party. I was just watching two antagonists battle each other out for whatever it was, money. The concept was really good, but I don't know if they pulled it off as well as they could have. I don't know, maybe they could have made Peter Dinklage's mob boss persona a little bit more good-hearted, I guess, but just doing things in the wrong way. It might have been one of the ways to do things where you flip the stereotype, where it's usually the caretaker who is the good guy and the mob boss is the bad guy, but you flip the two, and I don't know, that might have been an interesting way to see things. At the end of the movie, I was actually kind of relieved at the ending, not gonna lie. So if I had to watch it again, I probably wouldn't watch it again. I would watch it again with friends, but I wouldn't watch it on my own again, just because it just didn't do anything for me. Nothing actually happened for me personally. It's a good movie. It's probably about 3 stars for me, but that's pretty much it. I don't think that there was a whole lot to dissect and just think about. It was probably like a B-list movie. That's probably what they were shooting for, and that's what they got. I did want it to be more. I did want it to be something great, be something amazing, or actually target some of the capitalist issues that are going on in America right now. But it just barely addresses the capitalism and barely addresses how healthcare is weird in America. I don't know, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about everything that I just said. Do you think that Peter Dinklage did a good job? I want to know. If you like what I said in this video, go ahead and give this video a like. If you really like what I said in this video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and ring the bell notification so that you are one of the first people to know when I upload a new video. And if you're here and you're new, go ahead and comment down below that you're new and I want to say hi. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great random Thursday, and I will see you on the other side of the screen.